What if you had someone in your life who was fully committed to your wholeness as a person? Someone who sacrificially pursued your sense of security every single day. How would that impact your ability to thrive, to stay encouraged, to pursue God's big and small purposes for your life? Today, we're going to look at the important building block of having a sense of security in your life. Now, our examples in this episode are going to be regarding marriage, but you can take every one of these principles and apply them to parenting and helping your child thrive because of a sense of security. In studio today is your favorite host and my all-time favorite person, my husband, Rich.
Hello.
This is actually the third marriage podcast that we've done. And today we're kind of taking the next step, you could say, the next building block in having a healthy marriage.
Right. We'd love for you to go back and check out these earlier episodes. 8 was intentional marriage, redeeming your marriage, and developing the ideal of oneness.
In that episode, we talked about that after we realized that we were broken and that maybe just possibly I was a selfish person and maybe you were a selfish person and we were behaving in ways that were not what was best for our relationship.
Right.
So we recognized our brokenness, and then God began to show us what oneness really looked like. And that was something bigger than me and bigger than you. It was this own separate entity that we needed to fight for.
And fighting for that, then one of the steps we took was starting to address some of the negative communication habits that we had. So episode 23 of the podcast dealt with some of those things as well. Negative communication habits and the communication games that we were playing that really had taken us to not a good place.
Right. So while 8 is specific to marriage and the concept of oneness, which honestly you want to listen to. Even if you aren't married, you do want to help your kids have the right perspective about marriage. So I would encourage you, listen to that. And then episode 23 had principles in it that could apply to every relationship, really, not just marriage, but it was it was kind of a basic list of things that we had to give up in our communication habits if we wanted to truly pursue God's fullest for our marriage.
Right. And today we want to talk about another foundational piece of the healing process, another foundational piece in developing a strong marriage, recovering from the bad place that we had gotten to.
Well, John 10:10 is Jesus talking, and he really describes this struggle that human relationships have. And he said that the thief, he was referring to Satan, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you might have life abundantly, that you might have it to the full. And, we experience this tug of war in all aspects of life. Satan wants to kill, steal, and destroy it. And Christ wants us to experience wholeness and fullness and abundance of life. And that's the case in our marriage. And it's the case in our relationships with our kids. It's the case in our kids reaching adulthood in a productive and healthy way. This constant spiritual struggle. And today we're going to look at one building block that has been really key for us in our pursuit of having a marriage to the fullest. And that building block is security.
Right. And we talk about security. It came from as we grew our relationship and started healing our marriage. We realized that a lot of the brokenness that I was bringing, a lot of the brokenness that Valerie was bringing, really worked against a sense of security in our spouse.
Right, that even I would behave in ways because I didn't feel secure, and you would behave in ways because you didn't feel secure. And as we began really dissecting both the negative things that we had been doing that took us to a negative place And what we needed to thrive, we identified this sense of security as a really critical piece. So we're going to look at three things: provisionally, relationally, and family. Okay. But all three of these areas for security. So let's jump in at, the marriage critical one, our marriage relationship. What things have we had to do to create a sense of security there?
One of the main things in relational security is transparency, is a sense of that my spouse has the confidence that I am being open, I'm telling everything, I'm being truthful. That is real trust, real security.
Yeah, so that means I'm honest about how I feel about what's going on right now, or how I feel about something you did. I'm also honest about I'm struggling with being selfish about this right now, or being honest about accountability stuff. Like, I struggled with this temptation today, relationship wise, or anything like that. It's being vulnerable enough to be totally transparent. Really, in my day, I've spent my day mostly separate from you, and then I'm with you, and we have an opportunity for accountability. And usually, honestly, the things that I don't want to bring up to you are the exact things that I should bring up to you. And that's not that is helpful for both of us. It's helpful for oneness, and that we need to be committed to truth and honesty no matter what, no matter how it affects anything. I need to be more committed to truth than I am to protecting myself. So there's
Right.
that element in there. But also, if you are fully vulnerably honest with me in accountability stuff, for example, that gives me a real sense of security that I can really trust you. Because
That there is nothing hidden.
yeah.
And that's that self-protection idea. That is something that we saw early on and we continue to see over and over again, that self-protection is that sense of hiding, that it really works against oneness. So that transparency is so key to this sense of oneness, relational security in a marriage.
Self-protection for you, that played out through hiding. Through me, it played out through accusations, anger, resentment. So people react differently to self-protecting, but we have much less of a need to feel like we need to self-protect if we feel like the other person is truly out for our security.
And that kind of leads into another piece of this, that from things that you had said in the past, I realized a long time ago that another part of my nurturing a sense of security in you is coming to your defense, to going to bat for you, just showing you the level of worth that I assign to you by being willing to defend you, being willing to make a safe place for you in various situations.
And vice versa, me defending you as well. For example, in our society today, what is popular is women complaining about their husbands, and vice versa too, I guess. Husbands complaining about their wives, getting in little groups, and whether in front of them or apart from them. And so we committed to not do that ever. And this is something we learned, this isn't where we started. It's where we grew to. But something that comes to my mind is you are a very humble guy. And so generally, whenever you're going to talk about yourself, you are undercutting yourself, like speaking less good of you than you even are. And that tendency in you would carry it over into talking about me or the kids as well, that you would speak pretty low terminology about us in this overdoing of humility. And you've grown in that for your own self, but also you committed to not doing that anymore regarding the kids and I. And that really increased my security level. So what we've mentioned so far is transparency and having clear boundaries, and defending the other. So these are three ways that relationally we have been pursuing a sense of security for our spouse. But we have a couple more.
Another thing that we had to learn to nurture the relational security in our marriage is learning how to be tender, sensitive with one another. If my spouse is being transparent as I want them to be, or if I'm being transparent with my spouse, then in order to make that a safe place for them to be transparent, Valerie has to be able to trust that I am going to treat her emotions and her vulnerability with gentleness, with tenderness. And so I have to be committed to, and she has to know that I'm committed to not using that against her sometime down the road, not manipulating what she said for my own advantage.
Yes, respecting and treasuring and being very sensitive, really being a gentle cheerleader of the fact that the other person is willing to be transparent and vulnerable and hold boundaries even when temptations exist, and defending when it's hard for you to defend, being really aware, identifying that they are pursuing this sense of security for you, and appreciating it by respecting them and respecting the things that they say and the vulnerable ways that they come to the relationship.
And that can be tough to keep that frame of mind, to keep that attitude, because sometimes if I'm being transparent and fully honest, sometimes the things I'm going to bring to the conversation can be hurtful to you. Our tendency would be to defend, to put up our defenses.
Right. So you have learned to say things carefully, but still fully honest, as have I.
Right.
Let's give an example that happened last night. I was getting ready for a party, like hosting a party at the house, and he gets home from work right before the party is starting. In fact, maybe people have already arrived.
Not quite, but almost.
And he said, "You seem really low energy, dragging. How did you take care of you today?" And I said, "Well,"
You said you didn't.
I said, "Maybe I got a little busy decorating for fall and getting the house clean and stuff, and that
You didn't take your vitamins. You had only had one meal, all of these things."
Yes. So I was honest with him about that, even though I would have rather not. And he gently told me, "Honey, you have to do it even when you don't feel like it. I want you a long time." Anyway, you rebuked me in a gentle way. And that's what I needed. That's what I needed to hear. And so we're learning to be gentle in our approach, but fully 100% truthful as well.
And the next area is what we're calling provisional security, or provisionally secure, or materially secure. My wife needs to know that I am committed, as she is, to our financial security, to security in my work, to security or to a commitment to maintaining our things so that they last a long time.
Right. So that is income, jobs, finances, and the things we own, like our home, all of our property. So we are both committed to providing a stable life in these ways. Now, let's be specific. With your job, something that I had to learn to do was support you in it in a way that I recognized that you live constantly in this struggle between your boss wants this from you and your family needs this from you. This tug of war of time.
Right. Trying to balance all of that in a way where I, of course, stay in favor at work, because that's an important piece of security. I need my job to be stable and secure for our family. So balancing that and the pressure I feel there with what my family needs.
So I needed to know from you that you had a big picture view, that you were not just tunnel vision to this is what my boss wants, and so that's what I'm going to do. And not tunnel vision to home life either, because I needed to know that you were going to maintain a healthy relationship with your boss and healthy accomplishments at work and, doing your best and things like that, so that I didn't worry about that income and that job stability. Likewise, I needed to know that you were not ignoring the family's needs and not just always choosing what's best for your job growth, but also what your family needed. So there's a sense of security both ways there regarding your job. Was I need to know you've got a big picture view and you're taking everything into consideration, and you need to know that you have my support.
I think another piece of my contributing to our sense of security with regards to my work is discussing with you big decisions. Hey, I learned about a position at work that I might be interested in. And I talk it over with you, and you can tell me you don't really feel that, that's a good fit or something like that. And
Ouch. Would I really?
Well, just in our conversations there's been a few times when I have brought my thoughts to you and we talk about it and
we kind of dissect why that looks appealing to you or why you have interest in it, to determine, really, is it based on your abilities, or is it based on, maybe accolades or
a discontentment where I'm at?
Yeah, right. So really, me partnering with you in these big decisions and showing you I'm on your team. I'm on Team Rich when it comes to your job.
And yet there's been times when I've brought something out like that up and you express a little bit of fear, like, don't just go thinking, grass is always greener. You need this next position or this next promotion or this next role because we're good where we're at and you're good at where you're at. And so the security is, let's not rush into anything.
Okay, let's move to the next aspect of provisional security, and that is finances. So how have we helped one another experience a sense of security through finances?
Well, we've pretty much always been committed to that all of our money is all of ours. All of our money is together. That's something that we choose.
Well, and that works because we're both committed to it. I mean, for sure, I know there's moms out there who maybe their husband has a gambling problem or some other kind of problem that the electric bill is not going to get paid if he, has access to all money. I know there's lots and lots of different scenarios out there, but if we just talk for a minute about what's the ideal for wholeness of marriage, for the ability to thrive, one of those aspects is a sense of security in finances where we're both on the same page. We all know all the details and we're both committed to, like, for example, spending limits, that if I'm going to spend anything over a certain amount of dollars, then I'm going to check with him first and he's going to do the same with me. And that dollar amount has changed through the years. I'm not going to spend $500 now without making sure he is on board with that as well. And he wouldn't do that. But I can spend $200 at the grocery store and we don't need to talk about it. Or he may order some,
which isn't unusual,
$300 car parts and we don't have to talk about it first. That dollar amount has grown because I know in our early years of marriage, that was like under $100
Sure.
For sure. Of course, that was almost 30 years ago.
Right.
So...
But you bring up a good point. We have thoroughly discussed and made sure that we are both on the same page in pretty much all things financial.
So we have a picture of where we're going financially, what our values are financially.
And we discuss changes, goals, different things like that, different decisions, financial decisions, before they're made together. And we are committed to always being on the same page.
And that it's all both of ours.
Right.
That just because you earn most of the money, we don't view it as your 401k or, whatever. It's both of ours.
Right.
Handy for me, right? Okay. Um, Maintaining all of our stuff. That would be the last way, that we have gotten on the same page about, for example, the status of our lawn, that we want it to be a certain level of representing, for us, is representing Christ well. If we let our property look bad to our neighbors, we're not honoring them and we're not representing Christ well as Christians in the neighborhood.
So how does that idea, how is that a sense of security type of topic?
Well, for me, a main way is that if we need a car to run well and to be there for us when we need it, then I need to know that you, who knows more about cars than I do, are making good decisions to make our car last.
To keep it in good repair so that it's available and that we're not spending more money than we need to, or that we're not pinching pennies and therefore our car won't work.
Yeah, so just being on the same page, not only agreeing on it also helps us to argue less about these things because we have established the same expectations on this stuff. And that's one thing that we've found in arguments in marriage is a lot of it stems from not having the same expectations about something. And so we'll start arguing about something and then we'll back up and be like, wait a minute, what was your expectation in this situation? And what was my expectation in this situation? So really, it's just that we didn't have the same expectations. We didn't communicate that with each other. So of course we're not happy with how the outcome has gone. So for next time, let's be on the same page. Let's communicate that. Let's move on to the final area, and that is family. A sense of security regarding our family. That is in our parenting, in the systems that we have in our home, and in our legacy, in investing in the future. So those three areas in our family life, we have security. I feel a sense of security. You feel a sense of security because we've both committed to the same goals and ideals in these areas of parenting systems and legacy.
Well, I know that some years back I had to, if I was going to affect your sense of security, if I was going to help your sense of security in the realm of our family, that I needed to be more of a partner. So you could say that all of these things have to do with partnership. Everything we've talked about so far, that security comes from partnership, but particularly when it comes to family, when it comes to parenting, that I needed to be engaged with the parenting. I needed to be taking initiative.
So, yeah, definitely I was leading in the parenting, but that was both of our faults. You were checked out, and I was perfectly willing to assess the problems, develop a plan, implement the plan, and this is how it's going to go, completely without you.
And you felt a need to do that because I wasn't contributing, and I felt like, hey, I'm comfortable where I'm at. She's got it.
Right. I had to make space and time for filling you in on the troubles that I was seeing, on the maybe character problems that I was seeing in a child, and giving space for us to brainstorm together on a clear path to overcoming that issue. I had to give space and time for that. I had to respect your ways would be different and your ideas would be different than mine. And so I had to back off that it all had to be my way.
And I had to take ownership that when you would bring some of this information to me, some of the character struggles or the scheduling issues or just your level of worn out, it's tough being a good parent. It is certainly takes a lot of energy, and you would get worn out sometimes. And I had the responsibility, I needed to take responsibility to take ownership of those things so that I was truly partnering with you. That is one of the things that I needed to step up in order to heal our relationship that had ripples throughout other parts of our relationship as well. Me helping you have that sense of security that, you know what, when it comes to parenting and family stuff, I was in this too. You're not alone.
You said me bringing things to you, and that was probably the first step in correcting our problems there. But where it has moved to and where it needed to be from day one was more than just me identifying the problems and showing you, but actually you being so engaged that you are looking for, observing, digging deeper, discovering the problems as well. You being that proactive that you truly are owning our kids' character, our kids' hearts, our kids' souls, our kids' futures right along with me. Not that I'm the observer and I'm the identifier and then I bring that to you,
Right.
but that you're right there just as engaged in me, just as committed as me in identifying the good and the bad and the course corrections that need to be happening and all of that. So that's the parenting element. Now, systems. I continue to need this regularly is as a stay-at-home mom, and I'm sure your systems in your house, listeners, are going to be totally different than our systems because your life looks different. You may both work full-time. He may be with the kids more than you are. I don't know. You all have different things, but since I'm the stay-at-home mom, I make most of the household running systems at home. And when he is unengaged or unwilling to participate in those, it makes me feel very, my security is very much shortened because I need to know that my home is going to run smoothly for me to get done what I need to get done.
Right. That scenario that you just described would be another way that you'd be left kind of all out there on your own, where it's all up to you and it all is only getting done through your effort if I am unengaged. Because, I mean, we understand how kids are. Yes, they grow in things and they get better at things, but plenty of the time, just due to their maturity level, they aren't necessarily contributing to systems unless they are held accountable and made to do things. So it can fall squarely on the one parent, typically the mom, who would be there.
Around more
Right.
or just naturally engaged in that kind of stuff more.
Right.
But so areas of systems are like driving kids places, scheduling, laundry, meals, keeping the house clean, the kids' chores, maintaining the home in other ways. There's so many aspects that play a really big role in how smoothly life happens as a family. And all of those systems either have to be created by me or created by you or created by us. And then
we all have to
have to be
agree.
implemented.
We all have to agree and contribute.
Yes. So getting on the same page with those has also been really important for, I just feel super demoralized. It's silly, but I do. If I have created this system for, okay, here's a dumb example, but the back door is where we usually let the dogs in and out. And so what do dogs do? They track in mud and dirt. And I have a cute rug by the back door. And so I have this really silly, but I think effective thing of I have the rugs upside down at the back door so that they, track in on the ugly side that doesn't matter. And then when company comes over, I flip it over to the nice side. And so if I've established that as a system for that spot, and then Rich just comes in with the dogs with muddy shoes on my rug when it's turned the other way.
Who would do that?
Then that is so defeating feeling to me that, I'm trying to maintain this clean home. And
well, and you have expressed that things like that, your systems, the things that you value, I don't value. And therefore I don't value you or your opinions or your goals.
So the thing is that in this partnership of security,
right.
I can't bring that up in I can't believe you did this to me, kind of way, but in I respect you, I love you, I need to bring this to your attention. that this is valuable to me. I care about our home looking nice and this rug not getting stained on day one. So are you willing to follow this system, or do you have a better system? Or do we need to come up with one together that will work better for you and for me? So presenting the problem, dealing with it jointly, committing to it jointly. And that's a silly one little thing, but all of this stuff adds up.
And those principles apply to so many other things as well.
Yeah. So what we've talked about today is helping to establish a sense of security in your relationship, in your provisions, and in your family. We haven't talked about legacy as the last one for security regarding family. We're partnered together in our legacy. We're thinking long term, not just short term, not just fun for today, but I'm thinking about the values that we're passing on to our kids. We're thinking about the financial picture that we pass on to our kids. And I don't just mean like giving them stuff. I mean a debt-free lifestyle.
How we can set them up even right now as they are starting their adult lives.
In principle.
Right.
How do we give them the right principles for finances?
Yes.
The right principles for relationships, the right principles for their relationship with God, for how to read the Bible and live it out, how to impact the community and be a good citizen. And, the more we're on the same page for growing our kids' future, growing our marriage future, knowing that Rich is committed for the long haul in this relationship, no matter what, is so stabilizing. It's so freeing. It so creates this place where I can thrive and I can pursue who God really has designed me to be because of this sense of security. And moms, we can give this same sense of security to our kids as we provide a stable life for them, and consider these feelings that you feel of insecurity and instability. Our kids feel the same way. So just evaluating your life and the life you have set up for your kids and the things they can count on you about and count on the family about. All of these things play a role in their ability to thrive so that we can truly live life to the fullest, abundantly. Those 3 areas of security being relationally, provisionally, and in our family. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Always great to do that.
Next week, my Intentional Mom friends, you are not going to want to miss our guest, Stephanie Fisher of Steph Fisher Wellness. She's joining us in a mini-series on mom health, self-care, family health, and keeping our priorities of God first, family second, while juggling an income as well. You're going to absolutely love Stephanie. She's full of encouragement, inspiring facts and how-tos, and I actually believe that God bottled up an entire ray of sunshine when he made Stephanie. So join us for this mini-series that begins next week. Now, as we wrap up today, I hope you know that what we shared in this episode on the relationship building block of security in a relationship, I hope you know that we're just giving you a vision, a perspective. We don't achieve this level of partnership all of the time in every category, and we got here gradually over nearly 30 years of marriage. We had to learn the hard way on so many of these things, and we also know that God has many more lessons to teach us. We have by no means arrived. So look at this building block in a healthy relationship as something to work on, not something to compare to. And don't be discouraged. Mom, no matter if you're single or if you're married, whether your marriage is growing or feels dead, it is still an important thing for you to know what essential building blocks are that make up healthy relationships, so you can give your child a vision for what healthy relationships include and what healthy relationships do not include. Now, you can pray about this, you can role model, you can strive, you can talk about it. So you can also strive to growth steps in your own relationships as well. Speaking of relationships, This month, I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm sending you the Family Communication Evaluation Worksheet. That's a mouthful, I know. It's not elaborate, but it looks at some basic scripture principles about relationships, and it's something for you to fill out. You could either fill it out about your whole family, or you could have all the family members fill it out about the family. And from that, you would be able to see the vantage point of each child, how they feel like communication habits are happening in the home. You could also take special time, just you and another family member. Both of you fill out the worksheet on that other family member and on you. And from that, evaluate, this is their perspective of how I'm communicating, and this is how they're doing, and let's get a game plan. Let's identify the weaknesses that we can work on. So how do you get this family communication worksheet? You simply go to practicallyspeakingmom.com, enter your email address. You'll be added to my email subscription list to receive an email every Monday containing my show notes and podcast. I'll be sending out the Family Communication Evaluation Worksheet October 1, so be sure to subscribe by the end of September 2020 to receive this. If this podcast is helpful to you, won't you please share it with moms in your life? And would you leave a review? I'm looking forward to meeting with you right here next Monday as we strive together to build stronger families. Until then, I'm praying for you, Mom.